Taylor Parker is a monster. The police have now found a 21-year-old mother, 7.5 months pregnant, face down in her own home, 113 knife wounds across her body, 5 skull fractures, and her unborn daughter cut from her womb. But the lie started long before the knife. What an evil woman.
Blood on the grass won't wash away.
Before Taylor Parker ever raised a blade, she raised a camera. She was Reagan Simmons, Hancock's wedding photographer. That was how she got close. Parker could not have children. A hysterectomy in 2015, following complications from an ectopic pregnancy, made it medically impossible. She knew this. Her ex husband knew this. But Wade Griffin, the man she met at a rodeo in 2019, did not. She told him she was pregnant. Then she told him she was the heiress to a syrup fortune. Then she told him her own mother had put a hit out on her and later died by taking her life in jail. None of it was true. But Parker did not just tell lies. She built a set, a silicone pregnancy belly strapped to her abdomen, fake ultrasound images, a gender reveal party where a cow wore a pink feather boa, a full maternity photo shoot, doctor's appointments Wade was never allowed to attend, COVID restrictions, she said. September passed, then Parker's due date came and went. She claimed the hospital was delayed, first by a fire at Wade's house and then by a bomb threat at the hospital itself. Investigators would later suspect she called in both threats herself. By early October 2020, Parker was 10 months pregnant and running out of time. She had been planning. Her internet search history told the story. How to deliver a baby preterm at 35 weeks, how to fake a pregnancy. She had been studying, and she already chosen her victim. Reagan Michelle Simmons Hancock was 21 years old. She lived in New Boston, Texas, with her husband Homer and their three-year-old daughter Kinley. She was 35 weeks pregnant with her second daughter, a girl she planned to name Braxlyn Sage. Parker had photographed Reagan's wedding. They were friends. Reagan trusted her. On the morning of October 9th, 2020, Parker drove to Reagan's home. Reagan's 3-year-old daughter was there. Parker had a knife. Authorities later determined she also carried a hammer. The attack moved through the house. Blood evidence in multiple rooms. Reagan fought. Forensic analysis showed she moved from room to room while being stabbed. She did not collapse immediately. She fought to survive. She fought for her unborn child. The autopsy revealed 113 sharp force injuries. 15 were deep stab wounds. 98 were incised cuts. 2 stab wounds perforated her jugular vein. Some cuts were deep enough to reach bone. 39 blunt force injuries. A broken nose. 5 skull fractures. The medical examiner testified the blunt force injuries were consistent with a hammer. After Reagan collapsed face down, Parker performed a crude C-section. She cut Braxlyn Sage from her mother's womb. The baby had bruises on her scalp and on her umbilical cord, meaning some of the hammer blows aimed at Reagan's abdomen landed on the unborn child. The medical examiner ruled Braxlyn's death a homicide. Parker fled the scene, the stolen infant in her lap, driving north towards Oklahoma. She had arranged a fake hog sale, a $6,100 deal that never existed, as cover for her boyfriend to be elsewhere. Near DeKalb, Texas, a state trooper noticed a vehicle driving erratically and pulled her over. Parker was covered in blood. The baby, lifeless and blue, sat in her lap. An umbilical cord cut from Reagan's wound ran down Parker's pants legs. She told the trooper she had given birth on the side of the road and that her baby was not breathing. The trooper called an ambulance. Parker and the infant were rushed to McCurtain Memorial Hospital in Idabel, Oklahoma. Baby Braxlyn Sage was pronounced dead shortly after arrival. Cause of death? Traumatic extraction from the uterus. It was a homicide. Doctors examined Parker and found no evidence that she had recently given birth. No placenta, no uterine contractions, no vaginal tearing. In fact, no uterus at all. A blood test confirmed the baby was not biologically hers, meaning back in New Boston, neighbors had grown concerned. They called Reagan's husband, Homer. It was Reagan's mother, Jessica Brooks, who entered the home first and found her daughter's body. The 911 call was frantic, a mother discovering the unthinkable. Multiple investigators later testified it was the worst crime scene they had ever seen. Parker was detained. She told police she and Reagan had gotten into a physical altercation. She said, I quote, I wasn't in my right mind. I was freaking out. Parker was extradited back to Texas and charged with capital murder and kidnapping. District Attorney Jerry Rochelle announced he would seek the death penalty. The trial began September 12, 2022. Over 3 weeks, 142 witnesses testified. The prosecution laid out Parker's motive with surgical precision. She needed a baby to maintain the life she had built for 10 months. She had researched how to deliver preterm. She had faked every element of her pregnancy, and she had targeted a pregnant friend who trusted her. The defense argued diminished responsibility. They questioned whether Braxlin was ever alive outside the womb. A technical argument to avoid the kidnapping charge that made Parker eligible for the death penalty. The jury deliberated for less than 1 hour. Guilty, capital murder, kidnapping. On November 9, 2022, Taylor Parker was sentenced to death. Reagan's mother called her an evil piece of flesh demon in her victim impact statement. She condemned Parker for murdering her daughter, slicing her body open and stealing her granddaughter. Parker became the seventh woman on Texas death row, and the first woman sentenced to death in the state in 12 years. Parker appealed. The Texas Court of Criminal Appeals rejected her case in November of 2025. The United States Supreme Court denied her final appeal on May 29, 2026. She remains on death row at the Patrick O'Daniel unit in Gatesville, Texas. No execution date has been set. Reagan Michelle Simmons Hancock was 21 years old. Braxlin Sage Hancock never took a breath outside her mother's body. 3-year-old Kinley lost her mother and her baby sister in a single morning inside her own home. What an evil woman.
On the grass won't wash away. Undetected